Now let's integrate TRPC into our next application. But what is this TRPC? So just like we have REST API and GraphQL, we have this TRPC in which we have TypeScript. Basically, we are creating API endpoints using TypeScript in TRPC. Simple as that. So to start it, we have to install it first. So click Next.js integration here. Come down, click setup on the left side. We have the folder structure. We have our server, and in the server we have TRPC TS, which contains server code. Also, we have the API endpoints in the TRPC API folder. Then also we have we have a utils folder which contains TRPC hooks that can be used in Next.js application. So let's see how to do that. First, we have to install it. So if you come down, we have this big command. We can select the command and install it using terminal. Yes, enter. I also have this sample code, a simple starter code for Next.js. How we can use TRPC in Next.js. So let it finish first. Meanwhile, we can create some files. For example, in the server folder, we can make a file called trpc.ts. Now let me make a folder in the source or src called utils. Yes. In this folder, make a file called trpc.ts for the common hooks. Fine. So it has been installed, all the libraries that we used or we are going to use. Now in this server, we have server code. Let me grab the code and add it. I will explain what is this. What are these? So we have this init RPC or init TRPC from the TRPC server to create the procedures. We have two types of procedures, public and private. Public means not protected or public. You know what it means. And we have one more called protected, which means authenticated. We also have router to create routes and middleware. Now, the next thing we have to do is grab the utils code from the utils folder and add it in the file. So let me explain what is this. We are having the function called getBaseURL, and it contains if we have the env file and it contains the URL, it will use that URL, or else it will assume localhost. If we have port number in the env file, it will use that port number, else it will use 3000 port number. Fine. And that's all. Okay, let me improve the import. But before that, we also have to create one API in the pages folder. In pages API, let me create a folder called TRPC. Okay, in a small. In this, a file which will be a dynamic file. So trpc.ts. So if you come in the trpc.ts, let me grab these things, add it here. So we have to import the public procedure and router from server. So we have to change the import address. So source/server/trpc, and no errors are here. Let me also change this import src/ what was it? Pages API TRPC. Okay. src/pages/API TRPC/this file. Okay, that's done. We can also use this as the new get user procedure. So just like we have the greetings, we have get user, which are both public procedure. This is returning us one JSON object with the ID of 1 and name as Bob. Let me make this as Nishant. Fine. So this is a endpoint, or say, what is it? This is the route, like /API/ABC something. We also have to, if you check the utils file, we have this get base URL with /API/TRPC in this TRPC that we're importing in the server. If you open server, okay, not server, in this, where are we importing this? Not in the server, okay. Are we importing it in the server? Okay, we have to import this somewhere. So if you, okay, we have one more change in the app.tsx. Yes, here we are importing this TRPC from utils to get the endpoint straight. If you go to app.tsx, let me change this to an arrow function. So const app, give it an equals to and one arrow here. Then at the bottom export this, export default app. So it will be the same. Let me just have these two things, which is the type of the app and the TRPC from utils folder. So make this as src utils TRPC. Now in this, we have to add the type. So we have my app here, so make app type here. Then we have to wrap this export of app with this. Let me replace, add the app inside. Now we have this TRPC with TRPC, a context that is enclosing our application, whole application. Now if you come here and let me close the file from server, close this and this as well. Yes, we only need these two things. Now if you come to the client side of things in the TRPC, in the index.js, we are having the import from utils file. So you import it src utils TRPC. Now from the TRPC, we are calling the functional which is greeting or the route endpoint, and we are passing the name as client in the use query. So it will come up here. It will get the name from our side, from the client side. It will put the name inside this text and it will return it in the front end. So if you just print the name in h1, it will show up in the UI. So let me just have it here. Okay, not here. This is protected route, protected authenticated something, and add the class name here. Comment this one. Now if you give it a question mark like optional chaining, it will not throw any errors. Now you will see hello client here coming from this page. If you make H as capital and W as capital, let's see. So we'll only get hello client because we are passing client here. Make this C as capital and it will be capital here as well. So what is this? How it is working? We have hello and then we have the input.name check. If this exists, it will print the name, else it will print the world. So if you remove everything else and just print world, you will see hello world here. Or if you just pass the name as null, it will still print hello world. Pass something like hello Nishant. This will print Nishant. We are calling this greeting route. Let me call this get user. So let me just delete all this and some problem we have. This h1 will not be visible here. So just close this. Let's console.log this result. RESULT result. So let me check. We're returning one ID as 1 and name as Nishant from this get user. If you open the console, you will get this proxy function, which will be an object. So we are having, okay, get user. Let me go back and do some things. Like we have get user. Okay, let me go forward. Result dot, let's try name. No, not name. Maybe how to get this value. So save. We have this handler. Okay, let me try this. Result dot data dot text. Okay, if we are using client, it will show client. If we remove this US query and add data here, this will still not work. Okay, because here US query is getting a param, which is this input. So instead we can use this get user. Then we can remove this and let's see what happens. So get user dot use query. Now let's see. Okay, unexpected token at Falana place. Okay, what we can do is, one sec. So this is done. Let me remove this input because we don't need to pass something. Remove input from here as well. Just leave an empty query. So just let me return hello world here. Okay, hello world. Save the file. So now this will be, let me revert this back. Remove this h1 and the name as well. Let me console.log this result. Refresh the page. Let me open the console. I think some problem we have here. Okay, it shows in this console. I guess in this. So it's getting rebuilt. Error happened while generating the page. Any console logs will be displayed in terminal window. So maybe we have to cut this address because it's not responsive and add it here. Or what we can do is remove this US query. Just have TRPC greeting. Now close the, let me just stop the server, start it again. npm run dev. It's now running on the port 3001. Yes. How to get the function here? Handler. But if I just use query, pass the name as client. Let me think a little. Get back the code from here. This will work. Okay, also let me print this h1. This will print hello client. Where is the cursor? Where are you? Here. This will print hello client because we're passing the client text from here. Change this to Nishant. We will see hello Nishant. Fine, I get that. If we console this result, we should see this in the console. Object text hello Nishant. Fine. So we're getting all these items. If I remove input from here, then we cannot pass the name from the client. So remove this or make this as null. Save both of the files and give it a refresh. Okay, we don't need that. So we have data. In this we have object and we are getting hello world here. Fine. We can also remove this input and this type. Then if we did that, Okay, we don't need that. We cannot do that because still we have to validate the input. Fine, I get that. Now we have this public procedure. In this input we have, then we have query. We are returning something. So let me now use this public procedure here instead of greeting. What is the problem? We don't use, or we don't need to use this. It does not exist on the type create TRPC next base. Okay, sorry, we have to use get user, not that. This. Then we cannot pass this, not support it. Now what is the error? This is also not valid. Result.data.text. So it's not text. It's just a JSON. So if I remove text from here, nothing happens. Maybe remove this also. Or result. We are returning the text here, but in this we have ID and the name. So maybe we have to remove this entire thing and I will see no errors. Now let's check. We have this data object, and yes, it's now having the ID and the name. So we are getting the ID and the name from here. So this is how we return an object from TRPC. So you can delete. Okay, let me not delete this. In the next video, I will integrate Firebase with TRPC.